The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
How you beautiful Ugandans, it's your girl Citizenship. Welcome to the fancy flow. Who doesn't see my hair, guys? I am super glamorous. Remember, this is the only show where we're going to be talking about fashion.
Please, where are you think? Teaching.
What has been confusing you about fashion? Sorry, you said I should not smile. For all the information about fashion, maintenance of body shape.
I can wear bling bling when I'm going out. So you can wear bling bling going out or any occasion.
We shall be doing all this in the fancy floor. Remember, it airs every Thursday right from 8:30 to 9 with your girl, Teddy Tenjo. It is the fancy floor.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Our wonderful viewers, good morning once again, and thanks for following, liking, commenting, and watching our shows everywhere when we come to broadcast. I'm Norman Tumuhimbise, and as always, every Wednesday, unless otherwise, we have Justice Kanyeihamba to take us through the Constitution, and the purpose for which we have this show is to simplify the Constitution to the entire viewers, especially the semi-illiterate or even non-lawyers and so many other citizens, to understand every single word as is in the Constitution. We are streaming live on the Alternative Uganda Facebook page and YouTube channel, the Alternative Uganda. Let alone, after some minutes, the show will be there. And also Digital TV. We're with Justice Kanyeihamba today. He's like always, he's militant, and if it was a man, I would say he's a Black Panther because he's also putting on black. So Justice Kanyeihamba, say hello to our viewers, and then we shall begin.
No, we withdraw the word that I'm
militant. Today, not militant, but
I'm truthful.
You have
the word truthful
and militant.
Sticking to integrity. There's nothing militant about it.
Today, not militant, you're truthful. Okay, that's Justice Kanyeihamba. But before we considered before we begin this show, briefly, he has a disclaimer onto about these two books titled "Reflections on the Muslim Leadership Question in Uganda," and also "Reflections on the Muslim Leadership Question in Uganda." What is wrong with these two books, if you don't mind showing them to the...
The cover I agreed with is okay. But the contents were forged. I wrote my manuscript, consulting people who helped me, including Njuma, the late Katama, on the contents of that book. I sent it to
a publisher?
Yes, the publisher is called...
I'm seeing Fountain on one of the books. I think that
what
one.
Is it called? Yeah.
This one has Fountain Publishers.
Yes, Fountain Publishers. A man I came to love and know for his professionalism. He's now dead, was the manager, called Banjirana. He died, unfortunately. I sent it to him. It seems that the management of Fountain Publishers, who are headed by Tumusine, whom I know, she sent a copy of my manuscript to Saudi Arabia, to a company called, is it Rabita, something like that. And they changed everything in my manuscript. So Banjirana, the late Banjirana, told me, I have your manuscript here. and we are going to publish it. From that day, I have never known what happened. They never consulted me again. This is how we are doing it, except on the cover, which is this one. Now, when they heard that I was sick, and I might not last very long, they changed the cover, printed another book, and they published this one. I don't know anything about it. When I read the contents, I was shocked. Everything I never wrote there is there. But it has a title called by Professor Kanyeihamba. I denounced both books. Because of the contents here, I only accepted the cover. This one I have never seen before. Until I went to Artstock Publishers. I said, what is this? They say, you wrote it. So I want to denounce this paper. New Vision and the Monitor don't always publish what I write unless I pay heavily. So because Muslims are friends of mine, one of them, they moved it here. Sheikh Lubega has been campaigning with others that because of the work I have done for Uganda and Uganda, this road should be named Kanyeihamba. It has now been named Kanyeihamba. I think you passed there, you saw the road sign. Now, having said that, I am going to send an advert or message to members, rather to the editors of Monitor, one of them who is Mr. Kalinachi, and to New Vision, of which I am co-owner, and therefore they should respect.
I saw you making a lot of money recently. They wanted to share the dividends with the owners. I hope you also received yours.
They never invited me. But please call the editor. I said, you know, Kanyeihamba owns 1,700 shares.
I saw people sharing dividends. I think last week. You know, last week.
They never invited me.
Most likely someone is sharing.
And you now have some very interesting question to ask the editor or the owners. Why didn't you invite Professor Kanyeihamba? When he's part owner.
We want to leave that at that. Let's leave that at that and see how you write to them.
So finally, I am requesting everybody in the whole world and Uganda who have any copies of these books, Kanyeihamba's so-called book on Uganda Muslim leadership crisis, to throw it away, put it in fire. Those who tell me they have replaced them, they call me, I replace them with the new edition,
not any of
which
this
includes my original manuscript, not this faked book called Muslim Leadership in Uganda, which was apparently printed
and
in Arabia.
And included your name.
Okay,
our viewers, having said that, like he always says, we want to have a preamble in regards to the independence. Yes, you are one of the people that should have been invited to also be at, Kololo, what happened? When did you, by the way, when did you last attend such national events? Especially independence, because
when I was minister, I was always sitting
in front
next to Museveni. But
now there is Muhoozi.
But since Muhoozi now is in charge,
so Muhoozi and Kanyeihamba don't connect.
I have never been invited again. My letters to the president have never been answered whatsoever. But I'm sure he's got a copy of this book. President Museveni, my president, if you have a copy of a book called Kanyeihamba's Muslim leadership scholarship.
Crisis in Uganda.
Please throw it away. I'm going to send you
The original version.
the new one when it is published, and you will see the difference. Even you will be amazed how you are deceived and everybody is deceived.
Let's have an
It was written by Arabs.
Let's have an insight about the independence. How old were you by the way, 1962?
As independence, I was about independence.
1962.
No, I was between 12 and 13. You know, I was regarded by many as a genius. I don't know what a genius means, presumably. And therefore, I finished school and early. To do my O-level, I went to UK, paid my fees, all allowances were paid by my local government of Kigezi, and the Museveni and I are Nyakigezi, as I'm going to prove if anybody denies. So you see, they think because somebody withdrew all those books and replaced them with the new one, that there are not copies left. Unfortunately, one member has a
The original.
Now that he has got a copy.
The original copy.
It was in yellow. The one we have here in the green or something.
Okay.
So I will send in there. But I was then in the UK.
In 1962.
As a student. I was Commonwealth scholar. Very few of us either acquired that status or are still living. So I am one of the very few Commonwealth scholars before independence. I was the only one at the time from Uganda.
Your viewer here, a second, says, according to the statistics as per your age, now that you are 83, in 1962, you were 23 years. That's what... 1962.
So that's what
you were 23.
I don't continue thinking
At
about
the university.
my age. My age, I was born on 11 August
40.
No, 39.
39.
That is my age. I don't hide it like other people do.
Which other people mention them in particular?
Secondly, in those days, registering newborns was not compulsory. Many of my age mates don't have
Specific
they don't know
dates.
when they are born, including Museveni. Because Museveni wrote in his mustard seed,
That he wasn't
which you
sure.
have unmastered, that he doesn't know when he was born. But we were both born when the Second World War started. I am only 2 years older than President Museveni.
So, according to Museveni, is 81.
He's 81 now.
Okay.
And the person who told me is not his relative, Kaguta. It is his mentor, Boniface.
Boniface
Byanyima.
Byanyima. Okay.
It's Byanyima who told me.
Let's
He asked, how old are you, Kanyeihamba? At that time, I think I was in my 40s. So I told him. So he said, oh, you are only 2 years older than my son, Kaguta. My brother Museveni. So that's how I came to know
about his age.
that I am always 2 years
ahead of
older than he is.
Let's have an insight of about the independence. I was trying to be find out whether when did you last go to Kororo and celebrate, but to say when because we want to connect it to our discussion, especially the constitutionalism, rule of law, good governance, and the rest.
I have told you that when I was
you were in UK
Minister
at the time
of Justice and Attorney General, I always got a card, printed card, inviting me to the independence celebrations. But since I stopped being a judge, I have not invited at all to the independence provisions. I rather
any of the public events?
I am the only surviving founder of the School of Law.
And you were not invited when they were
And I
closing?
I had one unique title. When we were founding the Department of Law, the government and the judiciary appointed me registrar, legal registrar for Makerere. So I was the founder and the preparer of the School of Law. When others, including Professor Oroka, were the dean of the School of Law, they would always call me. At one time, Justice Chidabwire was a patron of the Makerere students when I was the patron of all law schools in Uganda. So he called me as a guest of honor to grace the college. But the new leadership headed by Professor Mbazira has never invited me to anything, not even to give a lecture to the students, which I ordered, which I begged him to do. When I went there to deliver some of my publication, he hid from me. Professor Mbazira. Then I told him that one of the students had forged entry appointment. I was supported by the now Vice Chancellor of Chambogo. What is his name? Mr.
God, I've forgotten his name.
The head of
Chambogo, the Vice Chancellor Chambogo.
He wrote them, he said these people who are forging or agreeing with forgery should be charged with forgery and dismissed. It included the current leader of the law school, Mbazira, the late Dr. Gwendede, concurred that these people, including this Mbazira, should be arrested for fraud, for accepting fraud. He's still the head of the law school at Makerere. That's why you said I am very what?
Militant.
Militant. I am militant. When it comes to respect to the constitution, the law. Museveni knows it.
I want to take you to the independence. You were old enough to follow the sequence of events at the time?
Yes.
As the Union Jack came down and our flag went up.
When the flag came down and the Duke of Kent came to give us independence, I was a student in the UK studying law at London University. So the following year, that year or the year before, I had been appointed the president of the East African students. So when Kenya became independent the following year, I was the host. And that function was attended by the Queen's sister, Margaret, and her husband, Armstrong. I hosted them, and I made a speech that it is essential that our country should unite and make one federation. That speech was made in 1963. Okay. So I was present, but I was alive and adult, as you say, but a student at London University in the UK.
If I may ask, out of the 60 years, your friend, Mr. Museveni, has 34 years. So if it is to account, I think you people under your NRA/NRM have consumed a lot of part of, in fact, more than half of the
time
of the 60 years.
Yes.
is it worth to celebrate, especially with your people, with your regime, for another
we
word?
have done some good work under Museveni, especially on economics, and his way of uniting people. As you can see, recently he was joined by Mao, the leader of the opposition. So that's a good work done. I don't agree with the motive. His motive is to dominate the politics and the governance of Uganda. The unity I want and I pray for is a unity which allows us to work as brothers and sisters and freely elect our president. Currently, I am campaigning that President Museveni should retire now. Now, not at the end of this term. Because the events that he has done supporting corrupt people. Let me tell you something. I called his minister, cabinet minister today. Kahindo Tafile. Kahindo Tafile, like Museveni, Abanyakigezi, not Abanyankole. But I insist lying to everybody, we Banyankole. This is criminal. Why do you deny your origin? There is a book which I am looking for. You can't find it in the newspaper, rather in the booksellers, which calls Banyakigezi, their clans, totems, and land. That book was yellow because it was edited by President Museveni as a Munyakigezi, not as a Munyankole, but as a Munyakigezi. When I drafted the constitution of the Banyakigezi, paid for by the late governor, Ntebide, Museveni came to open this association as the Munyakigezi. There was a successful effort to say Kanyeihamba may say something critical of government, so let's not be here. So I was told that on his way to open the association by Nakigezi, he would pass at the university whether I was the chancellor. That was International University, whether the university was KU, Kampala International University. I went there to see the chairman of the board, to wait for President Museveni, pass out to the university, and I would host him because I was then the chancellor of the university. When I got there, and you can ask him, but Saja Baraba said, no, Museveni is not passing here. They were telling you lies. So I missed the opening of the Kigezi Association, of which I was the draftsman of the constitution of which I was the draftsman, because somebody, not Hakana Rugunda, not Mutebide, but somebody I'm not going to mention, did sabotage my presence to welcome President Museveni. I was then, I think it is, I was Minister of Justice and Attorney General. Had I been there, I would have been sitting
close to
the audience, as a VIP to the audience. Somebody didn't want that to happen. So the only way they did is to keep me away. That's why I denounced this book, which is forged under my name. I hope all Muslims who are listening, mine will come very soon. I am revising it based on my original manuscript.
You said that the 34 years, which is the biggest portion of the 60 years, that you have, with your colleagues, you have done some commendable work.
Yes.
Is that
And
because,
Museveni.
yeah, one will always wonder. You know, we as a parent, I know you know that at least by 9 months or so, a kid should be in a position to sit.
Yes.
If you were a parent and your son begins to stand at 25 years, would you be proud?
I would call a doctor.
Does that mean you guys now need the doctor? Because literally,
Yeah,
the achievements of 34
you see,
years
my
vis-a-vis, vis-a-vis.
We came to unite Uganda. We are now divided. Right, left. Buganda, who used to love our party and Museveni, has abandoned him and the NRM. Chagulanya had never been heard of. He's a singer. They were so concerned, they would rather he was the president. That's why all the Baganda MPs are from this region.
Yeah.
Because they are fed up and frustrated by the efforts of the NRM and the Museveni. My book, which I'm reading, and I'm going to give this a printer with instruction, don't change a word. Even if I am wrong,
Keep it as is.
keep it as it is. No readers, no advisors. You publish it as it is. And I am asking all those who have got this forged copy in green to read the new edition. And as I say, booksellers like Uganda Bookshop, Mukono Bookshop, who sell my books. And also, if they write to me that we had 10 or 20 or 30, we have withdrawn them, I will replace those they have withdrawn or thrown in the dustbin with the new copy. It will have my usual color, and they can call me and say, that is the one I have written. When the editor, or rather the printer, finishes his work, he will send me a copy first, one. I will see that what is there is my work.
Is exactly what you
whether right or wrong.
I want to ask you something.
So what I was going to tell you, I have written in one of my books, the good men or leaders do is often forgotten. The bad they do, the evil they do, is always remembered. Museveni doesn't seem to have read my book, because when I sent about 5 books to him, my envoy went to State House at Nakasero, and the young policeman who was on duty said, if they are from that rubbish, and that this is rubbish from Kanyeihamba, and we are not going to bother
receiving them,
the president with them. My courier came back. The books are here with the name of His Excellency President
autographed
there. Now, if you were a leader, really, you had that, and you didn't hate Kanyeihamba, wouldn't you say, please, I gather you brought me books, visiting me, you didn't come. When you look at my pictures there, I am at the State House with my wife and children. Museveni invited us, and he's entertaining us with his wife. What has
maybe
happened?
at a time you hadn't become cantankerous as you are now, so that's how he could give
called
you.
me cantankerous?
That's how he could give you a room, because as you
who called me
as you know,
cantankerous? I want to take to court and say this is libel.
so and so calls you cantankerous and the militant, so he fears you most likely.
No, he does, because let me tell you, because that's the only interpretation you can put on. Why wouldn't he reply to my calls, my letters
and other books,
begging to see him? Because I even don't know, because yesterday I saw he's changed. He has been great with Ruarata. But on independence, I saw him. He has become younger. His hair is black. So something has happened to him.
Wait a second. Justice Kanyeihamba, what is it that you want to communicate to him that you cannot pass through media or articles as you always write?
No, this time I wanted to tell him, Mr. President, you have served for more than 30 years. You have served us well or badly, well enough. Please now resign. Now. In this term, I hope it will be today, retire. Because he used to listen to my advice. He listened to my advice when I gave judgment in the case of the Attorney General versus Kanyeihamba. He accepted my advice. He used to be Mr. President Museveni. When I offered to resign, when he jailed some ministers wrongly, Minister Atubo and Muhoozi Ali, he accepted my advice and restored them. And Moses is still there serving him, presumably about the same age as me. So when he said he's interested in East African Federation, he appointed people who were over 80 to be ministers. One sadly passed away, and that was
Chive
Jinja. Then the other octogenarian was the owner, he was the founder of the movement. He's still alive, but unfortunately he's going blind. So you don't point a person who is going blind and a man of 80
to lead the ministry or
to give process
for the
Federation of Africa. Now, Right Honorable Kadaga is the minister for that region. But President Museveni campaigned him
when she was
to become speaker again. He even bribed some MPs, I have discovered, to vote for Olanya. But the board is already, it is said, man proposes, God disposes. So God, unfortunately, has disposed that one. The two people who are in charge of parliament,
Anita Mong and
Mong and Tayewa. By the way, Tayewa is a Mchiga from Kigezi. But Museveni doesn't see that as nepotism because they are both from Kigezi. Now, she is a member, a trustee of Kanyeihamba Foundation.
Kadaga.
Yes, Kadaga is. She agreed to be.
How do you rate the parliament of Anita Mong, Tayewa vis-a-vis Kadaga and Olanya?
Recently, he made a statement.
Who?
Tayewa, which I agreed with, and I think he's a true Muchiga of Kigezi. Among, I do not know much, but when she became a member of parliament, she had a black skin. Something has happened to her. She's now very brown. That is what I don't understand.
So, wait a second, what don't you understand? You don't understand?
Gray hair.
And now has black hair.
Now he has got black
so you don't understand her transition from black skin
but
to...
by the way, I also have black hair at the age of 83. But I'll tell you what I did. I get things in my head growing. And the doctors, I put their medicine. And the medicine they put in my hair is of black color. So she's medical. So I don't know whether the change of skin, of hair by President Museveni, or the Speaker of Parliament is also medical. If it is, of course, we have to accept it.
And if it isn't?
If it isn't, then they have to give us a reason why they are doing it.
Anyway, we
Because
shall
I've given the reason.
Okay, fine. I mean, there are lots of concerns here that we would want to tackle, but you have not, same for the transition in colors, or whether one has a bald head and also dark hair and then dark skin and brown skin, about the performance in particular. At least I know you
As
follow
I
the sequence
told
of
you,
events on TV and the rest.
In economy and efforts to unite the Uganda people, Museveni has done remarkably well. But his record has been spoiled by the ghastly omissions and the mistakes he has also made, which are covered by my statement that the good men do is often forgotten, but the evil is always remembered. Oh. So it is a mixture feeling. You asked me why I have not seen him since I stopped being a minister. Whoever told me is a very confidential person to President Museveni. And he's also a minister in his government. So when I asked them, and I've asked Wakana Sole Mbabazi, I asked another Shaguranye, no, Champade. Amelia.
You remind
me to make appointment for me to see the president. They both failed. Then I went to that person who is very close to the president. She said for me, I will make it. 3 months down, she has failed to make the appointment to see him. Then she told me, President Museveni will never see you alone unless you and Kahoza, James Kahoza, you are too honest, you are not frightened of him, and you tell him, Mr. President, this policy is wrong. This decision is wrong. As he listened to me in the case of Moses Ali. He appointed him minister. When Moses Ali was going abroad, he asked me to be caretaker of his ministry. And the stupid MPs, NRM, including minister, attacked me for making Moses Ali acting in my ministry when I was away. Then I say, but why didn't you oppose Museveni when he nominated him as minister? That is the contradiction in the part of Africa happens.
Okay, our viewers, this question I have might take you some good minutes. That's why I want that we break for a minute so that you begin on it straight away. But as we break, I want to give it to you so you think through, so that by the time we come back, you already have some justifiable response. And this is the question. I am sure you have been watching and following the sequence of events, especially where as they call him, the first son, which title you don't like, calling the first lady, first son, first husband, I don't know what. So those things, you don't like them. That one is factual. He has been moving around, which birthdays were bad, were stopped. But to say, I think, let's finish this question.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
You have got to get up pretty early to go do something. We are the Alternative Dig Talk. With our mobile studios, we are redefining TV presentation just as technology is setting the pace. We are blending our approach with fresh, perspectively designed breakfast show, The Mighty Drive, informative and entertainment show, exclusive and live interviews.
President Museveni wadde juzi namulaba apima akawunga kilo 2 tasobola kalya nini bwaba alya kilo 5 oyanema okuliisa eggwanga ne bwe limundekera.
Njagala kwebaza the Alternative Dig Talk etuwadde kano ka Mighty Drive era n'abatuwuliriza bonna abali ku mikutu njagala basaba mugendo mu maaso n'okuwuliriza.
All given to you just a click away on your phone, tablet, laptop and smart TVs as we are streaming live on our social media platforms, on the road and on the go. We are the Alternative Dig Talk.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Our viewers, thanks for the patience of that minute or so. We're back. The question that I had, I should push it straight to him. I was telling you that you must have followed what is happening in the country.
Yes.
At first, the first son, called him General Muhoozi, was celebrating birthdays countrywide. And accordingly, the father barred him from having any more celebrations. Of late, there has been lots of controversies on his tweets that he makes. So which was most controversial was when he said that his army, in fact, that's when I realized that Mr. Muhoozi has an army. I had thought the army belonged to Uganda as UPDF. So he said his army, it will take his army less than a week to be in Nairobi, to capture Nairobi. And the father was bitter. In fact, he even went ahead to apologize. If this gentleman was your son, how different would you behave or discipline him? With such conduct, especially as a serving officer.
I would demolish my son for embarrassing Uganda. Muhoozi embarrassed President Museveni and the whole of Uganda by saying he can attack Kenya, who is one of the closest allies, not only in the whole world, but in East Africa, where most of us were in exile, when I mean brutalized Ugandans. It is very shameful that the President Museveni, in his old age, like me, should not demolish his son, Muhoozi. When I went to visit them, you can see my children are young. Muhoozi and his sisters were very young. They came and played in front of us and came and I lifted them up. He was young. So Museveni, rightly or wrongly, promotes him to the general.
Yeah, foster general. Yeah, foster general.
Lieutenant general.
Now he's now a full general.
No, now I know he's a...
You mean previously?
Let me deal with this part. Then when his son abuses Kenya and embarrasses Kenya, by the way, what you don't know, you should have seen the picture of our High Commissioner in Kenya. He was summoned by the Kenya government and said, when are you attacking? You are threatening to attack. He nearly cried. He was so ashamed, so embarrassed by what Muhoozi tweeted. But what I was going to say, Museveni apologizes. The person who makes a mistake was not Museveni. He's innocent. The person who should have apologized is Muhoozi. He should have forced him. My son, apologize to the Kenyans. My son, you are not the head of the army. You are not the owner of the Uganda army. Museveni has been keeping quiet. That's what I'm saying. But he's no longer governing Uganda. Museveni is not in charge. People who made mistakes, who breach the constitution, who make a decision, and who implement them sometimes, are not Museveni, but others. Recently, it was in social media and everywhere. But what I wanted to say about it, how do you apologize for somebody who has done wrong and then promote him to a general? Which shall we take as serious? The promotion or the apology?
So does that mean...
I asked one of his former greatest admirer, I will not mention his name, but he's a professor. So he said, Kanyeihamba, why do you call it an apology? I said, what? He said, it is half an apology. Where you half apologize for what somebody said, that and do nothing, that is an apology. But when in the same place you said, although you faulted, but now I am promoting you to general, that is only half an apology. The rest is admiration.
Where does this take us?
President Museveni, his enemies, he praised and promoted Museveni for threatening to attack Kenya. That's what they say. And they are right.
Where does this take us, in your view?
I'll tell you what it will take us.
As a country?
Now, I want all the people of Uganda, including the ones who listen to us, to come up openly and say, Mr. President, you have served us long enough. It's time to put your truth down. Because when they ask you, would you resign? And you told that it is on record. You told everybody in Uganda and the world that if my people ask me to resign, I will resign immediately and I go back to my farm in Wachitura and manage it. When they say who would succeed you, he didn't name his son. Museveni was very clever. He said, our sons and one of the sons of revolutionaries, of which I am one, will succeed us. He didn't name Muhoozi. Nobody can accuse him of that. Now, a member of NUPE came here and he said, why Kanyeihamba do you say Museveni does not support his son to be president? I said, because he has never said, I support my son to be president. When his son was celebrating throughout Uganda, his supporters, not Museveni, said he is the future president. We are supporting him because he is going to succeed his father. But Museveni, Janet has never said so. When Kutesa's daughter was marrying Museveni's son Muhoozi, there was some talk that they were too much related to get married. Museveni said, I have done research and I know they are not related. You people read, what does that mean? The father himself says,
I've made research, they are not related. So
my son is not related
to Kutesa's family.
They can marry. The person who had brought to that issue was none other than the late wife of Sam Kutesa. I think she was called Jennifer or whatever. That remains unanswered. So let me tell you my own speculation. Museveni has told many people that I will only retire from office if my people
Ask me to do so.
call me. Who are his people?
Ugandan.
It is us. Every Ugandan. Kanyeihamba has already said so. Mr. President, you have served us long enough. Retire now. Why are all the Ugandans? The question is all Ugandan political parties, leaders like Chagulanye, well, Mao has gone to Cheyo in NRM, but they can also ask him, because he still sometimes. By the way, since he became Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, he has refused to talk to me to call my name. Just as my relative, Kanu Kaindotafide, and I share one great grandfather who is Mchiga Mwene Mungwe Omugabira, called Katuru. But today I called him to say, I'm bringing you some books. He abused me and switched off the phone.
Okay,
But let me finish with that one. The president of Uganda, Museveni, said, the most corrupt institution in the country is the police. And they have evidence to believe him. Then after saying that, when he heard that, was told Kahindo Tafide owes me, I was his lawyer, because he's my relative. And he's the one who asked me to be his lawyer. Not me, I didn't apply. He owes me over 200 million shillings. He admitted it in the court. He knows it. Then, through the efforts of Hakana Rugunda, my friend, the former prime minister, government gave me 10 million to go for treatment abroad. Kahinda, up to now I have not known, and I don't know, you journalists, how did he convert a check written in the name G.W. Kanyeihamba into cash to campaign for his election? Why is he not being asked that question? Why doesn't he today? Why don't you ask him, even when I am here? Why are you refusing and abusing your cousin Kanyeihamba?
Okay.
So having said that, my take on Muhoozi.
Yeah. On what you read, what
yes.
you think is like.
I don't have any evidence whatsoever. But the evidence I have is the contrary. That he does not support his son to succeed him when he's still alive. Museveni wants to continue until he dies in office. Therefore, the chances of Muhoozi becoming
president,
a president to succeed his father are zero.
When he's alive, or in two events?
That's a good question. Now or ever. The reason I'm saying ever, unless Ugandans are really blinded by bribery and the money, he has disqualified himself.
Yeah, sure.
By attacking our neighbor, and his father has had to apologize. Promoting him to
for general
is simply a family affair. Nothing to do with Uganda.
Okay, our viewers, we are on Alternative Digital and also Alternative Uganda Facebook page, and we are with Justice Kanyeihamba. Now that we have had that preamble and an interesting one, I want to. There was a question that our viewer sent some time ago, late last week, and their concern is about citizenship. You know, that is a very, very lengthy chapter.
Discussion we had last week.
Yeah, sure.
For which you call me Kantakaras.
True. And which title I will gladly call it you. I mean, once
but
again.
I don't mind.
So with this viewer,
nobody will listen to you.
This viewer says, why did the citizenship by descent, why was it scrapped off the constitution? Because when you read the definition of a citizen by descent, it is that citizen whose great-great-grandparents were born here, so I mean by descendants and the rest, which apparently on the form, when you are acquiring the national ID, all of us are considered as citizens by birth. What is an illegality in regards to that? Why did they get it off? The citizen by descent.
One, because the citizens of Uganda and the people of Uganda who gave us evidence on which we base our constitutional provisions did not raise the issue
at a time.
But they only went to the grandparents. That is, if a person was born here, when his grandparent was a Ugandan, that becomes a citizen by birth, by descent. So it is longer to say we ignore the descent, but we limited it to grandfather.
Not beyond
the grandfather.
So why would?
But it is descent. If you are descended to a grandfather, in other words, your grandfather, whether you are a man or a woman, was a Ugandan at the time independence was given, you are a Ugandan by descent.
You see, Justice Kanyeihamba, what an ordinary citizen would want to understand is that I think the reason for which people have interests, in fact, special interests in regards to the citizenship, is because some people want to prove to all of us that they are more Ugandans than others, maybe, and which is more or less constitutional, because for some reason, there is a citizen by registration. You wouldn't regard them as too much of citizens than someone who is a citizen by birth.
Yes.
For example, you are a Munyachigezi. One would not simply assume, but would confirm and say, Justice Kanyeihamba is a citizen by descent, not simply by birth. And that's what hurt some citizens who received
We have both. If you are born in Uganda on the time of independence, you are a citizen by birth. If your parents were not a diplomat, we covered everything. So you are that. If when you were born, one of your grandparents was a Ugandan, you are a Ugandan by descent. We never left anything. You can say we limited, but there was a danger in that. Supposing I have a cousin who disappeared, a brother disappeared. There is no documentation except I reported to the police he disappeared. My brother was called Yoweri Kaguta. He came to see me and he disappeared between Masaka
and Kampala.
Yes. Supposing somebody comes, no documentation, and they says I was the son
of the other lost
of Kanyeihamba. Should we give him citizenship because he just came that? So where there is evidence that somebody really, his grandfather or grandmother was a Ugandan, it has to be proved. Then they are entitled to citizenship. But not just to argue on social media, no evidence. I don't know the person who has mentioned that. The one who asked me that question, if one of your grandparents was a Ugandan, he is definitely entitled to be registered as a Ugandan, whether he's outside Uganda or not. If he's in Uganda, he's already a citizen by the provision of the Constitution.
Okay.
If a similar person was somewhere else, but he has connection in that area like that, he also can apply, even if he's a foreigner, he can apply to become a Uganda citizen.
Either
and the
registration.
Immigration Department will automatically grant it in accordance with the Constitution. We covered everything.
Okay, our viewer, you have
especially
been
on
answered.
citizenship. I personally had a personal interest. At the time, my wife and the children were not citizens. I made sure.
Did you have provisions for dual citizenship?
But my other child, who had grown in the UK and loved life in the UK, refused my offer
To be a dual citizen.
to have even dual citizenship. And that was
Her choice.
their right to do so. They chose to be British, and she's British.
There is this, okay, not a rumor per se, but most likely because you are a senior citizen, you must have heard about it, because I'm sure by that time you must have been a big person in this government. One Ambassador Olarotunu, it is alleged that he had dual citizenship. That is one of Senegal and one of Uganda. Your government declined to recommend him to be Secretary General for UN. And yet the laws that you had, or that we still have, considered a dual citizenship rather, being okay. Why didn't your government recommend Olarotunu to be the UN Secretary General?
You know, at the age of 83, I am so knowledgeable than most Ugandans. And some of them don't realize it. Somebody today cancelled a meeting we are going to have had. I said she is not going to attend because the meeting is at 1 today. Then she invited the others. Therefore, she will be in the meeting today, this morning. She's called Kirea. I want to give her. She's Secretary General of Kanyeihamba Foundation. The reason we delayed, she turned up with even one who is a criminal called Solomon. She invited them all. But I didn't give me a chance to say, what are you here for? Because this meeting was cancelled. And Kirea, who is the secretary of the board of directors, is the one who cancelled. I am not coming. And yet she came. They had an agenda. Presumably to embarrass me, or maybe to dismiss me from Kanyeihamba Foundation. Because
there was a coup.
They all turned up.
Maybe there was
all turned up, although she said the meeting is cancelled.
We go back to Olarotunu.
So, Olarotunu.
I'm sure you were
read their book. After the time he applied, or he was nominated and was popular.
Yeah, very. He was the most senior. He was the most senior person.
Uganda did not have or accept dual citizenship.
Okay.
So when he applied,
that was before 1995 constitution.
Yes, it was before the constitution, and the
dual citizenship was.
Yes. So obviously,
some people had thought that it's because of sentiments between Museveni and Olarotunu. In fact,
thank you.
you get
see, most Ugandans
that Museveni had issues with the Langi, and Olarotunu being an Choli rather. He had.
At that time, there was no. That was nonsense.
So the issue was constitutional. That by that time,
it would have been illegal
to accept someone who had a Senegalese passport.
To recommend a man under the Uganda law who had a dual citizenship. That's why he was denied. No other reason.
Okay, our viewers, that is something that has been haunting so many, rather bothering so many Ugandans, wondering why Ambassador Olarotunu did become the Secretary General for United Nations, and yet he was the most suitable at the time, the most senior. Now, in these remaining minutes, I want to...
But now I have explained.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
So
now,
the Uganda government was right
to deny him a recommendation at the time.
That position, because they would be interfering with the internal affairs of Senegal, which
to Senegal,
for which he was also a citizen. That was the reason.
In these remaining minutes, we cannot leave minus tackling the duties of citizens. And this is in line with our 60 years of independence, Justice Kanyeihamba. There are specific duties of a citizen, which one asks on whether, in your view, citizens have played their mandate to fulfill, as per the Constitution.
They haven't.
In
The
particular,
answer is that the government has not played its mandate.
even citizens
Because
haven't.
one of its mandates, which it has failed to do, which I'm doing it now, is to teach the people of Uganda what citizenship means. And they pay for that. I am doing it free of charge. And I have asked you, Mr. Moderator, ask the government. You have not given me a letter, you have a copy of the letter. Kanyeihamba is now doing your job as a government. And he's qualified because he made it, he helped to make the
It's
constitution.
very constitution we are interpreting.
So why don't you facilitate him to complete this job? He's an HSCD, but the God is keeping him. The doctors have said, this one will threaten some people, that they have now revised his life expectation from today, what it is, to 8 to 10 or 8 years. Of course, they are not God, they are only speculating, but they are the experts on life. So why don't you, Mr. Alternative, formally ask government to facilitate me, and we see what the reason they gave. I used to facilitate the police. I gave them occasional lectures on the invitation
With the
of
IGP
the
that time.
minister and the Inspector
IGP.
General Police. I even went to their school
Kabadie.
several times. And they were happy. I had a very good relationship with the place, although Museveni says they are the most corrupt. How do you call your department the most corrupt? And that one he can't deny. And then you appoint a person who has stolen the money and converted the check over a retired justice into his own campaign money. How did he alter
The same
the
check
change
to,
in my names, which was sent to me by Wakana Rugunda, the Prime Minister, and the then Permanent Secretary of the
Finance?
Judicial?
Judicial, okay.
How did he? That question, Norman, my friend, next time you have to ask him to go to his office so that we start with that question next week.
Okay.
Please, I beg you.
Okay, we will see.
Kahira
Is another Kantakarasi man that you would
When
handle.
Museveni said the police are the most corrupt institution, he appointed Kahindo Tafiri,
As their minister.
who had admitted owing me that money.
As their
He
minister.
hasn't paid the bulk of it, which is 200 million shillings. But at the 10, where he converted the check, that one he took it to my bank without telling me. So he repaid it. So you ask him, why did you say you don't owe him anything? He's a senile old man. But apparently you paid your check or the money in cash to his account in Absa Bank. And you're contradicting yourself.
Okay, I'll
He
be
called
asking.
you today, called me before you came, to donate books to him. He was as if I am a thief.
Okay, I'll be asking with Justice Kanyeihamba. We have 10 minutes.
yes,
In
please.
fact, less than 10 minutes. I think for purposes of our viewers, I want to talk about this is Article 17, duties of a citizen. And you know all of this because you people you're the ones that drafted this. And when you said that the government has failed on
Has what?
has failed on some of its responsibilities.
Yes.
Are there specific responsibilities and duties that citizens have equally failed, so that before we blame the government, we blame it ourselves?
That's a very good question. Yes, citizens have failed because they are frightened. They are in Uganda, they say, by the Joya Bianswa. Because I asked him, how many people has the government killed? Of course it has tortured some people. 2 MPs,
Are still in
which
jail
I
now,
never heard of
close to
in
a
any
year now.
country, have been tortured and denied bail. That is a failure by the government. But citizens are keeping quiet. When Museveni is threatened, let me tell you what can happen if citizens are vigilant and they are mandated by the Constitution to protect it and its provisions and any lawful laws made by Parliament. When President Museveni, the Attorney General, and the NRM combined threatened the rights to bail, which we are discussing tomorrow in the Constitutional Court. The panel will be chaired by Judge Sengonda Ntende, a senior judge of the Constitutional Court. Tomorrow, 9:30, I will be there to submit. But they already forced me to make my submission because one of the judges had adjourned our hearing indefinitely, hoping in the meantime I will die, and then they will give the statement that this case has been overtaken by events. The main petitioner, Kanyeihamba, has passed away, and therefore there is no need. But God is very, very wonderful. I love God. I am a Christian. So that was a proposal by a judge woman who is a cadre. Then God said, you woman, you are a liar. Kanyeihamba will still be alive. And we will other those cases. So unless I die today, which Uganda will blame the government because I am healthy, you can see how I am talking. I am in a wheelchair, yes, my legs don't work anymore, but they are not sick, I'm not in pain. And the reason for that, the doctors will explain. I ask that our case be postponed of tomorrow. The registrar of the court, of the Constitutional Court, she's a lady. She said, I'm going to consult the panel chairman and I will let you know. She has not called me whatsoever.
How did you know the case is coming up tomorrow?
Because one of my fellow petitioners went to the court and they looked on the notes board.
Their cause list.
Yeah, cause list, and they says our case actually is tomorrow.
Imagine if you hadn't sent someone.
It was on it is on the cause list.
Ridiculous.
But the woman kept quiet. The registrar, the land registrar, who is a lady, I forget her name,
hadn't informed you.
To be ashamed. You are not doing your duty.
By simply
you
pinning
are
and
just
you don't.
Obeying the president. Kanyeihamba may defeat the president. He should not be on this case. I bet they have already told another lawyer or somebody to appear on my behalf. And he will go there tomorrow. I don't know who it is.
You'll surprise them when you're there.
Professor Kanyeihamba. I will be there, madam. I will even see you there. And I wanted the police to shame you that you are not an official lawyer or registrar. You are a cadre of the movement. You are just a simple cadre. You're a woman.
Your closing remarks, especially
regards
tomorrow. Yeah, sure.
Deliberately.
Your closing remarks as we leave here till the other week to citizens. What should citizens because you said government, for some reason, it has also failed. Citizens have failed, in particular, like in a minute or two. What are those things the citizens have failed to execute?
One is being coward,
Cowardly.
and they are not like me challenging the mistakes that the government is making. Many of those are criminals because they are doing it deliberately. The citizens are keeping quiet. That is the greatest mistake. Fear is the greatest damage that can be done to democracy. You know the truth, whether you are a judge, a lawyer,
Taxpayer.
opponent or otherwise, taxpayer, and you keep quiet saying they are going to kill me. But you see Kanyeihamba there, who has been consistent in opposing government mistakes or wrongs. Why haven't they killed me? Why you particularly, whom I don't know? I don't think the government has anything against you, because they have never said they are going to attack you. When this last election, the police, the army, surrounded the voters with a gun, machine gun. If you step here to welcome Chagulanye, you are a dead man. How many did they kill? I voted for Chagulanye not because I wanted him to be president, but because I thought he was representing the majority vote of the Uganda kingdom, which they did by all of them also voting with me for Chagulanye. How many of us have killed? None.
Okay.
So the fear that Ugandans have,
So Ugandans first should
and
deal
they
with
blame them,
they should deal with their fear.
is misconceived.
Okay. Our viewers, we are out of time. We shall catch you up next week, Wednesday, same time, same platform. Do your best and deal with the fear, as Justice Kanyeihamba has said. I think the therapy he had was to deal away with fear. That's why he has been this strong and against any forms of injustices and bad governance to all people there. I mean, he has spoken to the powers that be against injustices. And we ask, as he says, deal with your fear if you want things to be done right. May God bless all of you and bless all of us.
Can I say something?
Yeah, in a second, yeah.
I challenge all those who are questioning you or questioning this program to come out next week and we deal with their questions.
Okay.
And then we shall see how many Ugandans really care about our constitution or our liberties.
Okay.
You can put in your call, if you are listening to me, to Alternative Digital, and then we can say 100 people called in. We may not be able to answer all your questions,
But we shall
but we
answer those
shall
that will be
tell the
asked.
people that on this question, Kanyeihamba begged every Ugandan to say, we want to support the constitution, and we not agree with the government when it is wrong. Phone in. I'm sure that the digital has got the ability to
We shall record
receive
them
all
and-
those calls. Then we shall start
From
next
there.
week with the question.
Okay.
How many called in?
Yeah, sure. Citizens, see you next week. May God bless all of you.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.